color and light was and is natural, and Royal Rife, with his frequency, discovered frequencies that devitalized or destroyed the viruses of 60 diseases and illnesses just by using frequency. But partly how he discovered this was through the great universal microscope, which there was only one built. When he looked at any virus, microbe, or bacteria, it glowed in its own unique color. So here we go again with the color. And he knew that, or found that the cancer was always a ruby red color. And they started, he had Dr. Lee DeForest, the father of modern radio tubes, build a frequency generator. And they looked at a cancer tissue. They knew it was cancer with that ruby red color. They got the frequency device. They went into the red spectrum. They go through the spectrum. And when the color disappeared through the microscope, the virus, bacteria, microbe was dead, destroyed, the mortal oscillatory rate. Now, why is that important? Why would that work? Singer sings, hits the resonant frequency, can shatter glass. These people, his group of doctors, all figured out, okay, if we use the same concept, resonant frequency, we can devitalize and destroy the viruses. Now, many people have heard about Royal Rife. I'm just going to kind of put this in.
Yeah.
We have had the universal Rife microscope that was built in 1933. We have 500 personal letters of all the doctors back and forth. And as I had shown you, we have Rife's original laboratory frequency notes. I normally may not have shown this, except I want to prove a point. And that point is Rife only came up with 60 frequencies. These Rife machines, purported Rife machines, have hundreds and thousands of frequencies. Royal Rife died in the 1970s. He did not build these Rife machines. Do they work? Yes, but are they really Rife machines? No, they are not. He did not come up with those frequencies for those machines. I only say that because I'm a little bit of a purist in that we archive here, we caretake. So when I hear someone go, oh, the Rife machines were no good or it didn't work, Rife's name is involved with that. And it just isn't fair, because if you look at the Wikipedia, boy, does it put down Rife. It even says he purportedly built a microscope. He didn't purport, he built the world's most powerful light source microscope, 10 times more powerful than what they're using today. It is what a whole show can be comprised of, just with the details. But your question was energy, color, and frequency. That is the language of the body.
So he identified, you said, was it 60 pathogens, 60 microbes, diseases?
Yes, some viruses, some microbes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what I found so fascinating when you gave me the background on this a week or two ago was that how he arrived at that conclusion was via his microscope. And it sounded almost haphazard in the sense that because he was using crystals in the microscope, that's how the colors basically came out of these different microbes.
Yeah, well, he used counter-rotating prisms. And those prisms, what he did, there's something called heterodyning. Heterodyning is normally attributed with sound. You have one sound, you add another sound, and you get a third sound. He did it with light. By these counter-rotating prisms, he was able to illuminate substances. I mean, it is remarkable. Nobody else has come up with that. And I have to really put this in. He began as a chauffeur for Timken, who built ball bearings in San Diego, California. And he tells Timken, who is a millionaire back 1912, I think I can build a microscope more powerful than anything in the world. And Timken sets up a laboratory and Rife does it. But I want to point out, because most people will know it's a conspiracy and they're keeping the Rife microscope down and we could use it and it's horrible. I want to look at the positive. The first sentence in the Smithsonian Institute about the Rife microscope, Royal Rife, who for many years has far surpassed the ordinary limitations of microscope. How do you surpass a limitation? A limitation is a limitation. There are no limitations except what we create in our minds and what science will say. It's a limitation. Rife surpassed all the limitations of ordinary microscopes, and he did it several times. The best being the Rife Universal, and it was only the Universal because he could get many more angles of light shining through these prisms. His other 4 microscopes were smaller and very definite, but he surpassed limitations. So, and that's in science.
How prevalent were the use of his frequencies that he identified before, I don't even know the end story of how it all fell apart, because it did kind of fall apart, didn't it?
Well, it fell apart. Well, at the time, what they decided to do was they took 12 actually 16 patients to the Mary Ellen Scripps Ranch in La Jolla, California, and they used a frequency device and the frequencies. And within 30 days, 12 were 100% clinically cured, the other 4 a little bit longer. He was moving along. E.C. Rosenow of the Mayo Clinic, John Hopkins, Lewis Barker, USC School of Medicine, UC California. These were all the people working. But then something slipped out in the media. Dread disease, cancer destroyed, claim of San Diego scientist. And then the pressure came from the pharmaceutical industry and people who did not like getting into physics. Now, most of the doctors who were with him decided they were safer by not being with him. And eventually everybody left him or died away. And Rife ended up to be a drunk. And in his selling of a drafting set, he met a man named John Crane. John Crane befriended him. Rife died, gave him the microscope, and that is how I got the microscope and all these other papers when I met John Crane. So Rife ended up with when his obituary, when I read it, was very sad. His last words, all I wanted to do was build a microscope, but he was discredited. How was he discredited? Later on in his life, the FDA prosecuted John Crane, saying, John Crane, you're not a doctor. You have this microscope. They never interviewed Royal Rife, who had all these contacts with doctors. So people like the Wikipedia and others come up with these harebrained stories. Well, he really didn't have anything. Having 500 personal letters of the time, we know exactly what was happening. They discovered the cure for cancer. There is absolutely no question. They knew it.